Welcome back to Coin Story. And today's story comes with a caffeine kick strong enough to make your great grandfather do the Charleston at 3 a.m. in the morning. We're talking about coffee tokens, these little pieces of metal that once meant the difference between your morning brew and a morning meltdown. The Coin Story podcast would like to thank its sponsors, Fondo Coffee, freshly roasted coffee every time, and GBD Marketing, engage, convert, and thrive. Now, these aren't Starbucks gift cards, no fancy QR codes, no buy nine, get one free. These are solid, beautiful, and in some cases, slightly dented tokens that tell the tale of the coffee trade in Central America. So grab your mug, put on your barista apron, and let's grind some coffee. Now, coffee tokens were born out of necessity in the late 19th and 20th centuries, especially in the coffee growing regions like Costa Rica, Guatemala, and El Salvador and Colombia. Here's how it worked: large coffee estates, called haciendas, would issue their own metal tokens to pay workers. These could be used in the state's own store to buy goods, food, and of course, coffee. This system was partly out of convenience, partly control, and in remote coffee growing areas, there often wasn't easy access to official coinage. So tokens became the de facto currency. They were unusual, brass, copper, and aluminum, and stamped with the hacienda's name so nobody mistook them for official government money. Some were worth small amounts, just enough for a meal, while others might represent a day's wages. And occasionally, they even carried counter marks to revalidate them if ownership of the estate changed hands. First stop, the Hacienda de Colima in Costa Rica. Picture it: a sprawling coffee estate, the air thick with the smell of drying beans. You've just spent hours picking coffee cherries under the sun, and instead of colones, the foreman hands you a brass token stamped Hacienda de Colima. This could get you goods from the estate store, maybe beans, rice, a machete, or a cup of that strong, earthly Costa Rican brew to keep you going. It was a closed loop system, a bit like getting paid in Starbucks gift cards, if Starbucks also sold you socks, bread, and farming tools. Now, this particular token has a bag of coffee beans on the obverse, the name of the hacienda, Hacienda de la Colima. And on the reverse, we see a coffee tree or bush with the name Alejo C. Jimenez, most likely the owner of the coffee plantation. For our second token, we meet Vicente Aguilar, a man whose name alone sounds like he could sell you either the world's best espresso or the world's fastest horse. Vicente Aguilar tokens are neat because they give you a glimpse into a privately run coffee operations. Aguilar's tokens, like many, were small, rugged, well circulated. Think of them as the punch cards of the coffee world, except instead of punches, you had scratches, dents, and that weird brown stain you're just praying is coffee. On this token, we have Vicente Aguilar's name on the top of the obverse. And in the center, we see a coffee bush. This one is counter stamped with a punch. And on the back, we see a basket full of coffee beans. This seems to look like it is brass and somewhat worn. Token number 3 is from the Hacienda from Carlos Polina Fernandez in Costa Rica. So again, we have Carlos Polina Fernandez. Now that's a name that deserves to be said with a flourish and maybe a faint waft of roasted beans in the air. These tokens would have been used on Polina's estate. And here's the thing, they weren't just currency, they were branding. You worked for Carlos, you knew his name. You saw it every time you bought a sack of flour or a cup of coffee. If modern coffee shops did this, we'd be walking around with coins that say Grand Vanilla Latte, no foam on them, which honestly, I'd collect. For token number 3, it's probably in the best condition. We have a lion on the obverse, and around the lion, Hacienda de la Cascada Cafe. And on the back, we see it is 1/4 token. We even have a date with it, 1895 to 1977. Now we cross the border to Guatemala for the Mario de Giano token. Already a cool name, but this one has an extra twist, a mysterious K countermark. Countermarks were stamps into coins or tokens later on, usually to revalidate them, mark a change in ownership, or give them a second life. Why K? Nobody knows for sure. Could be the name of the new owner, could be the start of the word coffee in a quirky marketing move, or maybe it was just the only letter punch they had left when the M broke. Whatever the case, this K gives the token a little personality, like your coffee when you add a splash of something unexpected like cinnamon, nutmeg, or whiskey. On this final token, we have the name of the owner, one in the center, maybe representing 1 centimos, and Guatemala on the bottom. And then when we flip it over to the reverse, we see K, the K countermark, which probably represents the new owner, Costa Cucha, which is probably the house, and El Rosario Bola de Ora. And in the center, we see a coffee bush and the date 1872. Now, coffee tokens are more than just bits of metal. They're tiny reminders that coffee was once the heartbeat of Central American economies and the fuel for countless long days in the fields. Each token has passed through countless hands, heard countless conversations, and maybe, just maybe, was clinched in the fist by someone desperately needing their morning fix. So, next time you sip your latte, remember, once upon a time, your caffeine addiction could have been tracked in brass, copper, or aluminum.
Honey, where's my coffee?
Be right there, dear. Well, guys, I gotta go. Thanks for joining me for this extra shot of history. This has been Coin Story. And remember, every coin and token has a life and a story to tell, and some of them come with cream and sugar. Welcome to Coin Story. I'm Pete. Coin Story focuses on the history of a single coin. Coins move through the ages from hand to hand and from decade to century. These coins represent the work and culture of the people that own them. Every coin has a story to tell if you're patient enough to listen. Take a little time out of your day and join me for a walk back in time. Every coin has a life, and each coin tells a story.